It had been a year since the incident, a year since Ben's energy shield had enveloped the town of Beacon, a shimmering testament to survival. Under its protective dome, life had found a new rhythm. Children were born, businesses thrived, and the memory of the Crimson Mountain and the catastrophe that took Liam had begun to soften, replaced by a cautious but steady hope. The shield was their sky, their guardian, their constant. But one morning, the constant changed. Scattered across the shield's vast, invisible expanse, strange crystalline structures had appeared overnight. They clung to the exterior like frost on a window pane, catching the morning sun and fracturing it into 1,000 tiny rainbows. A sense of awe rippled through the townsfolk who gathered in the streets, their faces upturned. Yet beneath the wonder, a seed of unease was planted. This was something new, something unknown. And in Beacon, the unknown was rarely a harbinger of good. The initial awe quickly soured as the town's power grid began to flicker. Engineers confirmed the unthinkable. The crystals were drawing energy directly from the shield, draining it at an alarming rate. Unease morphed into outright panic. The town, once united in its survival, fractured. A vocal faction, led by a man who had lost his family in the original disaster, demanded the immediate destruction of the crystals. They argued for force, for a preemptive strike against a threat they didn't understand. Others, however, cautioned against aggression, haunted by the memory of how their previous attempts to control the mountain's energy had backfired. They feared that any hostile action could provoke a far greater catastrophe. Amidst the growing turmoil, Ben worked tirelessly in his lab. He discovered that the crystals were not just parasitic growths. They were a form of life. They were communicating, not with sound, but with pulses of light and frequency. As he analyzed the patterns, a chilling familiarity washed over him. The rhythmic glow was a perfect mirror of the energy pulse he had last detected from the mountain, the very pulse that had coincided with Liam's disappearance. The situation grew desperate. With the shield's integrity failing, rolling blackouts became a nightly occurrence, plunging Beacon into darkness and amplifying the citizens' fear. Public pressure mounted on Mayor Chloe, who found herself trapped between the two warring factions. The breaking point came during a town hall meeting. The hall was packed, the air thick with anger and desperation. Shouts for action echoed off the walls, and the meeting quickly devolved into chaos, teetering on the edge of a riot. It was then that Ben burst in, his voice cutting through the noise. He proposed a radical, almost insane idea, not to fight the crystals, but to communicate with them. He believed he could modulate the shield's own energy frequency to send a signal, to bridge the gap between human and crystal. Faced with a potential mutiny, and with all other options exhausted, Chloe looked at the desperate faces in the crowd, then at Ben's determined expression. She gave him the authorization. As Ben initiated the sequence, broadcasting a carefully constructed signal of peace and coexistence, a hush fell over the frantic crowd gathered outside the command center. Every eye was fixed on the dome above. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly the parasitic draining stopped. The crystals began to resonate with the new frequency, their light shifting from a cold, sharp glint to a warm, harmonious glow. The townspeople watched in stunned, silent awe as the crystalline structures began to transform. They spread across the shield, not as a blight, but as a reinforcement, weaving themselves into the energy field until the entire dome became a dazzling, symbiotic network of light and power. Far in the distance, the ominous crimson glow emanating from the mountain softened, its angry red hue mellowing into a gentle rose. Fear gave way to a profound sense of wonder. In the silent, glowing aftermath, the community of Beacon understood. They were not just survivors huddled under a shield. They were part of something larger, something more ancient and magnificent than they had ever dared to imagine.